Ted, welcome back to the Bitcoin SV train. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has. Thanks for having me back.
You were one of the first guests I had on the show. And it's over a year ago now. I can't believe it's been that long.
Yeah, I time flies, I've been working and legitimately 15, 16-hour days since then, and it just goes by. I in between from jumping from project to project, it's just fun. And so in that, and especially with the lockdown and all
Yeah,
this corona stuff and sheltering in place, it's just allowed me to have a lot more time. So yeah, time flies. It's been a while.
I think everyone who's in BSV probably should know you by now. Um, but it has been a while, and this is YouTube, so it could be anywhere, could be anyone watching.
Yeah.
Tell us all about what you've been doing over the past year.
I guess what I've been doing was I think there's a process, especially in BSV, there's a process. And I
Yeah,
saw the process as being, a hackathon would get you a little notoriety, and that could be leveraged into some sort of project mode where you would attract people or investors, and the next step would be a presentation to pitch day. It's almost like the minor leagues in BSV, right? You're going to
yeah,
work your way up to in stages and
I know
and,
all
and
about those.
basically present your ideas to the
Mm-hmm.
people in this space that matter, I guess. So, right. And so I spent the last year trying to do that, and I did. And you know whether my industry is complicated or whether people don't understand that this is liberating technology and that the old rules shouldn't apply, I didn't have the success that I felt I could have had,
Mm-hmm.
or should have had. And it's a business. This is capitalism at its finest. So
What would you
I
say was the hurdle there? Like, was it the people? Was it the personalities, or was it the?
I'll tell you, in all honesty, the people in the room didn't understand my business, and even
No.
the ones that said they did, they came from such a small area in the business. And I don't know. I thought I presented an opportunity for BSV to gain a global awareness almost overnight had I had success. That was my plan. Whether they felt I was worthy of it or I could have been the one or should have been the one to do it, I didn't get into any of that. I just know that it was an interesting experience, and I'll say a couple of the people there tested me, and I, being in London and wearing a waistcoat, I had to be as gentlemanly as possible, put it that way.
Very good. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just take it on the chin, and understanding their limitations as technologists, or their limitations as producers or movie people.
Yeah.
And I have nothing bad to say, because they have made decisions, and they've made good decisions and bad decisions, but they're the ones who are driving this space. So you give them one chance and you move on. And that's what I've done. I moved on, and I think rather successfully, because that's
Mm.
the goal. In a capitalistic society, you don't win them all, and you don't win many, but when you win, it's good. And you have to believe in yourself and believe in your product to such an extent that none of that bothers you.
That is true.
So, so I'm happy where I'm at, because I think what happens is the rejection and the initial trolling that I received, and all
Hmm.
these things play well on a person like me who's going to do it anyway. So
Yeah.
it gives you an incentive, it gives you encouragement, whether it be from a negative source or what have you. You're just going to prove them all wrong at the end. That's the goal, regardless,
Well, you're a movie industry guy, right? And so like the movie industry is notorious for being incredibly tough to crack into. And even if you crack into it, it's hard to actually make it.
Right.
So I mean, you would think something like BSV, or even wider crypto would kind of be a cinch, because you'd have all the skills you needed to impress people.
Well, I think what it is, it's interesting that when you have to convince people who are selling a liberation technology that you're going to
Hmm.
liberate an industry, that's something wrong there. There's a disconnect. So I'll leave that there. But
Yeah.
I think more importantly, whether I had success on any level in the movie business shouldn't matter, in the sense that my experience of producing the movies and understanding the documentation, understanding the throughput of the production cycle, understanding distribution, for having a well-rounded knowledge of everything, it allowed me, no matter what, to be probably the best person right now at this stage of the game to be in BSV, to understand and have the time to put all the pieces together like I did.
Quite
You know,
possible.
I think what happens is, when I first came into the space, everybody was really hyper competitive, and anybody with a different idea or bold ideas either had to build them or was going to have to suffer from the scrutiny of what those ideas represented. And I think to come in and say boldly, like I did, that all the tools are fine, and all the send this there and put that there and pay this here, that is good stuff, but it's never going to get you global adoption. And I'll stand my ground and say my movies will be the force to gain attention, because if we can get the product,
Hmm.
then they have to come. See, that's what I know. So when I went into London, I had a 45-page deck. That's a whole nother interview. There was one person in the world I could have gave that presentation to, and that person wasn't in the room. So I just threw the presentation aside and said, let me just talk to you guys.
Who
Give
was
me
that? Who was
1.8,
that
give
person?
me $1.8 million to go make some new movies, and the whole world will know about BSV. And that's pretty bold, but I believed that then, and I believe it now, and I'm
Hmm.
about to prove it now. So it was interesting to see the reactions, and to be in that situation. It was very interesting, to say the least, because I think people who are in charge of this space have a great responsibility. So they can't just be sidetracked by one person's desires or goals. I
Hmm.
understand that. There's a bigger picture. So you walk out of the room, you understand there's more work to be done. Dr. Wright sets a 50-year plan, and I'm telling you, I'm ready now. So it doesn't jive too good. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
There's a disconnect either with me and what I think I have, or there's a disconnect in this community that doesn't understand you don't need all the tools to work. You need a legacy system to disrupt, and we have that ability right now. So
That's
we're going
right.
to
Yeah.
test that.
Well, even I'm getting to the age now where I am starting to think that some of the things I wanted to see change in my lifetime may actually not happen in my lifetime. That's
Well, I got a great team, so tell us what those are, and we'll get on it.
well, yeah, I don't know. I think in 2020 I've learned that I cannot predict the future anymore.
Huh?
I used to be able to predict what was coming up in the next couple of years, at least to some degree,
Mm-hmm.
or at least when things happen, I wasn't surprised by them. But in 2020, I just I threw up my hands and I said, okay, I'm no longer able to predict what's going to happen in the next 5 or 10 years.
It's a all bets are off scenario,
It
and I
is,
think in the chaos,
yeah.
it allows people to thrive. There's certain people who are thriving in this chaos, and I think Um, I can be one of them, in that I've been social distancing for like 30 years already. So it's like,
Well, me
to
too.
be
Yeah.
inside, to be focused on what I'm trying to do, that comes easy. But and as unfortunate as it is, what happened with everybody else having to be sheltered in place, that just allowed me more time and space to myself, to truly focus on the endeavor, and to be in the situation that I'm in right now with this wonderful technology. I can't say more about it. So I think I have to go do it and show the rest of the world right now.
All right. I think we've kind of been mysterious enough so far, but it's time to say, like, what are you actually working on now?
What industry, right? We
Well,
got
it's
several industries.
movies,
So let's
music.
stick to movies.
All
Let's
right.
stick to
Well, we'll
movies.
start
All
with
right.
movies anyway.
Well, first things first. I think what happened when I first came to the space and people were presenting their works, their wares, their ideas, their tools, I was the Pied Piper. I was trying to get the people to help me, because I didn't code. It was
Mm-hmm.
obvious that I was sort of just stuck and waiting for something to happen. But you know, great people in this space, the Brendans, the Brads, the Steve Shatters, Dan Conleys, all those people in the beginning are there for you. to point you in the right direction,
Mm-hmm.
and then you meet other people and you start to network, and you start to learn that maybe I'm not so limited and I need to just design and get this thing to the place it needs to be. So we built My Movies from London to today, and we're ready to launch in December a micropayment arcade gallery. We have created the first legal Bitcoin token in the United States for over-the-counter sales.
Really?
I'll get into that. That's a whole little sidebar because it's a whole industry in itself, this tokenization and what you do
Sure
with it
is.
in the
Yeah.
security space. But more importantly, on the road to My Movies, I was very fortunate to be coming back from London on a plane, and Dave Fodrick of MoneyStream was behind me. And so by the time we got out of the airport, we understood each other's strengths and we understood how we were going to do what we just did. And we just set about to do it. And it was serendipity, it was luck, whatever you want to call it. This was the partnership that I was looking for. So I have
Cool.
Hand Cash, been very supportive of what I'm doing. We're working in that ecosystem. We're developing um, our methodology of how crypto works in a space with micropayments and logging in and pay mails, and that will be something that I want to be able to present in the next month.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, me and Dave were able to invent some things, and we took the Satoshi vision from Tokyo, Dr. Wright's vision for streaming media, and I knew I was going to stream per second someday. I just had to get there, and Dave figured it out. With us working on goals and trying to figure out how I can be there, Dave with his knowledge and his abilities with MoneyStream, and using Hand Cash where we use Hand Cash, and using the private payment channel we've established with our miners network, that we can now stream per second
Mm-hmm.
video streaming. And this is a patent pending project. We're in provisional stage right now. It's something we feel that was one of the major components of any movie distribution platform, was a true Satoshi vision for video.
Yeah.
And we got that. And then I said, Dave, he said, I did it. I said, we did it. He said, yeah, you did it. I did it. And we looked at it, and only for a second. And then I go, now, can you make it go backwards? And then the first advertising model was born, where
Awesome.
we now pay the viewer per second to stream ads.
So,
And so
yeah, go on.
go, no, you go.
I was going to ask about content because, you see, the entertainment industry, and particularly movies, is seen as this giant monolith, and it's controlled by just a small handful of companies who probably all drink
Right.
together every night.
They
So, and there's this notion that you're never going to break into that industry in any way or launch a competitive product unless you at least have some support from within that industry. Is that true, or is that just an outdated notion?
It's a half truth,
Mhm.
because that's the truth if that's the only source of funds.
Yeah.
Right? They're holding the bag, right? And in a Bitcoin sense, they're between me and the money, which is the fans.
Yep.
So how do I go into a boardroom at a studio and say, get out of my way, I need your fans to give me that money, because you won't? Well, you can't do that. But what you can do is create a system that allows the fans to participate, eliminates the need for their services,
Mm-hmm.
but you're still stuck with the money problem. So what I was trying to accomplish in London is $1.8 million. I could have movie stars in a movie,
Mm-hmm.
and this thing would have made so much noise, right? I was the first to sign an artist with a manager in the Screen Actors Guild to a Screen Actors Guild pair play, and it's on the Bitcoin blockchain, and we paid in Bitcoin. That was a historical moment, right?
Right.
So we had already knew that this would work. Now, if I would have had 1.8 million and put 800,000 in 7 actors
Mm-hmm.
working 2-3 days a piece, but can you see that poster? And these are A-list actors. They're going to work for 2 days for 100 grand.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? This is how that business works. And then there's no studio in the world that can stop them because they're going to pay their kids tuition for that 3 days. If the movie flops, there's going to be some people that would scrutinize the content. But I know A-list stars that have been in some of our movies that went on to make big movies before and big movies after. But if they can pop in for a payday,
Yeah.
it's a good day for some of them.
Like who?
See what I'm saying? Well, we got Ron Perlman in Shakedown.
Oh yeah.
And he was doing Hellboy right at the same time. So he was going to make what he made from Hellboy, but he said, "Hey, Ted, I just got to get my kids' tuition over here." You know what I mean? And so that was a great time because you're working with the caliber of actor and you're saying, how do we get this guy? And you get him because you just paid him cash up front.
Fair enough, yeah.
You know what I mean? He's a big name, right?
Literally.
Not so much now, but he went on from Shakedown. Shakedown was probably $480,000 movie to a $40 million movie. Excuse me? Oh, hey, I'm busy. Who's this? Sorry about that, John. Do you cut that out or what? You don't have to.
I might.
I don't even know who that was.
I like the impromptu nature of all this, so I might just leave it in.
Yeah, no, that was. I sent texts to people, and somebody didn't get the text, I guess. But so I know the game. And so all I would have had to do was put out press releases saying, I got actor A, B, C, D, and E, and they're in a movie and it's a Bitcoin and they were taking Bitcoin and all this stuff. And they would take, $95,000 in cash, and then I would do a $4,000 Bitcoin contract for marketing, right? Because they don't trust Bitcoin. They don't know it, but they might take the 95 knowing they got to try this for, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's the marginal cost on that? So it was a plan. It didn't work. Nobody saw my vision. So now what I have to do is replicate that process on my own. And so we took the footage that we shot from Lord Timmy. I spent a week with some kids. I fell short of my goal because of the trolls, right? And I don't know if I would have got the money, but when I start giving hundreds of dollars back immediately, I just shut the thing down. Do you see what I'm saying? So we took the footage, and now we have a model for my movies, and we can present the data. They can see how we get a $600 helicopter shot. They could see how we get an $80 F-18 shot. They could see how we cut the scenes. They could see how we do the animation, and they can have a confidence that for $20 investment that we're going to probably have some success if we all pool the money together. So now that has me in a situation where I need to sell over-the-counter securities to kids, 5,000 of them at $20. And how do you do that legally?
Is there a way you can sell over-the-counter securities to kids legally? Because sounds totally not legal.
Of course there is. All
right, fill me in on that part.
Well, if I had a bunch of money I just wanted to throw at the thing, I could go regulation crowdfund, regulation CF, and I could pay an accountant and attorney, and I could pay a platform, and I can have still some exemptions to over-the-counter sales. But now I'm already in a tenth of my budget.
Right.
So what do? You go to Wyoming,
all right,
where the blockchain laws are specific, where the cryptocurrency laws are specific, and allows a company like mine to operate from the phone and have all my records are on the chain. I'm a partner with Unisat. We're putting all our corporate records on chain in the sense that the locations are on chain. We're encrypting them, decrypting them with Unisat, and and I back it up by I have my own method of filing to the op return.
Right.
So with my manual move plus Unisat, I'm operating legally in the state of Wyoming from my phone, and with crowdfund exemptions from the Secretary of State, I can sell over-the-counter securities unregulated, exempt from securities and exchange regulations, only in the state of Wyoming or to Wyoming businesses.
Right.
And so we have a microcosm. We have a Switzerland. We have a Malta in the United
Does
States.
that mean you can only sell to residents of Wyoming?
I can only sell to residents. This is securities. I could sell
Mm.
downloads and streams to anybody out of Wyoming.
Okay, got you right.
But if I want to sell security shares in a company, a for-profit company, then I can only sell to Wyoming residents or Wyoming businesses, which is
Mm.
one of my companies that I'm setting up now is a Wyoming business that will do regulation S securities to the foreign market. And those foreign investors can now invest in that company and they can purchase tokens in Wyoming.
So for the uninitiated, I think Wyoming has been like even before BSV came along, Wyoming was pretty progressive towards blockchain businesses. I think they want to be the Delaware of blockchain or something like that.
It's definitely a progression from the New York crowd to Delaware to Wyoming and that political movement,
Yeah.
that educating legislators about the benefits of technology. And they were kicked out of New York. They failed to convince the people in Delaware, but the people in Wyoming, the free right state,
Hmm.
wanting to move from an agrarian economy to the next level, which would be a tech economy, a tech hub, immediately adopted the laws and legislations to allow corporations to sell shares, to put their records on a blockchain, to I think one of the laws about tokenization and utility tokens. They have laws pertaining to that. So for $1,000, I will have my own token in my
Hmm.
own space, and you can't do that in the United States. You have to do it in Wyoming.
Hmm.
So you go to Wyoming, and you're not concerned. I'm not concerned that I'm limited to that many people. I'm only concerned that I prove to the world this works and that it operates and that it can scale to a certain extent within Wyoming. So
Right.
what we've done is we've built our own social media platform for Wyoming residents only. There's an API that determines if you can get in there. We have an external shell that faces outwards, that we have the micropayment galleries, and we sell items and goods and services to the general public for Bitcoin.
Hmm.
But in order to get into the investment aspect of it, there has to be a vetting process. So we've created a private version of my movies that operates in a private social media platform. And with our relationships with the mining network and our private payment channels, we're going to be operating at speeds that are comparable to Twitter and Facebook, with no real demand curves in the decision making process, just activity that will allow us then to come in with our advertising model, which is unique to Bitcoin. You want to scale, you want the world to know who you are, you're going to need Madison Avenue. But you don't give them access to people's data. You make them pay people to engage. That's how this works.
Hmm.
You want to know who I am? It's going to cost you. And I'm not even willing to give it up so soon. It's going to cost you a little bit every time I look at your ad. And then you want to sweeten the pot, I might tell you who I am.
I wish people in general were a bit less willing to just give up all of their personal data for free.
It's for the thrill.
Yeah.
You want to get in, and what am I missing? I want to be in that Twitter feed. I want to engage. And so for that, we don't know the value of our own data, and nobody owns their own data. If you want to own your data, you need to go to the USPTO or your own country's trademark, patent, copyright office and
Patent
like
yourself.
and register your data.
Yeah.
Until then, it's public domain. You're in control of its placement, but I don't believe in charging people to store their ideas. You know what I mean?
It's kind of the same with natural physical resources too. Say a country has a very large uranium deposit or something like that. And does that belong to them, or does it belong to the person who's able to extract it and use it? That's kind of a dilemma I've always had, because I could make convincing arguments for both sides.
Yeah, but you got to have more guns than the person who's telling you you can't drill.
Well, at the end of the day, yeah, generally what it
You know
comes
what I
down to.
mean? And I think that's the dilemma. I mean, I've never once thought this was anarchy. I never
Yeah,
once thought that anarchists could succeed at what they do, because I know too many guys who would love for you to have your own world with no rules, and then you
yeah,
come in and then take it. So
exactly.
how
Yeah.
are you going to
Well,
do it
I'm
without?
thinking more about like ownership. You know, if you are allowed to mine, if the resource is extracted, who really owns it? I mean, the people say, you know, that's our resource. We should get paid for it. And you also say,
Hmm.
yeah, but if it wasn't for me coming along and extracting it all and finding a way to do that and investing lots of money in it, then it would have just stayed in the ground. You wouldn't have even been able to make any money from it. So
Yeah, well,
therefore,
we
it's
own. I own
mine.
my house. We own our
Yeah,
house, but the title. I mean, I can't drill for water under my house.
yeah,
It's just not legal. So no matter what I think, what's below me isn't mine, because I live in a country of rules, and the rules
hmm
say it's not mine. So I
or
just
above
accept
you.
that.
Yeah,
I go to another state, I go to another place, and I find a way to mine. So I went and got another piece of land where I could drill a well, and so I have a well.
good.
It's all depends on how bad you want what you want and how far you're willing to go to have that. I think it's always been that way, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, you know, owning your data for me is, do you have a copyright? Okay, fine. Now that you have a copyright, we want to protect that. So we're going to use FBI disclosures in front of the content. We're going to let everybody know that this is licensed content. You locks keep honest people honest. Anybody can try to steal, especially this early in the technology. I know you're going to be able, smarter people than me are going to be able to find a way to go get these files and look at them. But at the end of the day, you're a thief.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to pay for the content, you pay for it. If you don't, you don't pay for it. And if you do, and you go past the FBI screen, and you don't believe that that's true, then maybe Bitcoin can help me find you if you
Well,
do it. You
I
see what
mean,
I'm
Craig
saying?
Wright's always talking about how, you know, one of the greatest causes of crime is opportunity, especially fraud. And if the opportunity is there, someone will take it who may not otherwise have taken it.
That's okay though, because I think 99% of the people are fair and honest. You know, it's the one percenters you have to worry about.
Yeah.
And they're one percenters in this space, but they're not as mean as the one percenters that are out here. You know what I mean? But there's always 1% of the people who don't care. But what we
hmm
can do is, if an artist can get 90% of the people to honestly support their work through purchasing and consuming their goods, we're not asking for donations. You want to see the content, it has a value, it's been licensed with the government, and we want to sell it to you.
Right.
So we're just looking at it right now, this early in the game, that we're presenting working models. They're not flawless, but as we grow and as we build and the content gets more valuable, it'll serve itself. You know,
hmm
we basically have the first artist to stream music for Bitcoin. We have the first artist whose music videos in the blockchain memory pool, right?
hmm
And we did the same with movies, but now we're doing it with music, because, like I said in the beginning, my music is just my movies with a different logo and color scheme.
hmm
And so,
When are you
go
going to
ahead.
announce all of this stuff?
Right now,
Like, really?
that's it.
All right, let's
Part
go.
of what I'm doing, John, is that I don't consider myself in the Bitcoin SV community anymore. I have to go to the world.
hmm
I can't sit here and toot my horn and let the whole world pass me by. I now have the technology built on Bitcoin, and I need to leave this community and present this to the world. And I did that at the American film market,
hmm
and I was trolled by Lloyd Kaufman of Troma Studios. He's now
It's quite an
trolling
honor.
me, saying, "Hey, we make the movies. We got the movies. You're with the cartel in Hollywood. They're the cartel." And I'm like, "No, Lloyd, I made this for us." And I got in a chat room with them, and I said, "Lloyd, we're gonna go kick their ass, Lloyd." And we start small. little movies, good content, show that there's revenue, show that there's profit, show that there's security and intellectual property is our main goal, and we're constantly working towards it. But by stepping outside of BSV and going into these other worlds, willing to take the flack that comes with BSV, and proudly, we have to take the fight to them now. So going to Wyoming and competing against Cardano, with the judges sponsored by Cardano, with the event sponsored by Cardano, with everybody in that whole state on crypto paid off by Cardano, they had to give us third place because the technology don't lie.
Who came second?
An idea. And first was another idea with a classroom of kids with Raspberry Pis. Right. With ideas. But we had a working technology and we had use cases, and we were streaming per second. We launched the per second streamer at the Wyoming Hackathon. These judges who weren't so tied to Cardano as the end all, which that state seems to think it might be, we're here to prove that wrong. Somebody in that room said this has to be recognized. So there was only one winner to begin with. They changed the rules. They put 3 winners in there, and they gave us third because I think it was good politics on their part. It was good that they didn't put it this way. I threatened some people when I found out what they were doing, and I said, "Look, you don't know who I am, but I have the administrative capacity to make your life miserable. I'll go straight to the top." And I sent these emails, and I was willing to stand my ground in the face of them threatening to disqualify us because they felt that we were bringing in work we had already accomplished. But if you looked at the GitHub, we did so much. We did 16, 17 use cases to 20 Wyoming laws, and they couldn't get over it. I think they just said, you know what, you got to give him something. So created 2 more awards, and they gave me third. Like, let's just put him in his place. That's what I think, because they only had 1 prize and 1 winner, and then all of a sudden it's 3 and I get third. I'll read into that.
Fair enough.
You know what I'm saying?
When was that? When did all this happen?
That was last month.
Okay, so all this is still going on, like, despite
it's over. We got third. They promoted Cardano as the vision for the future for economic development, and I formed 6 companies, and I got 4 tokens ready to launch, and I lost to some kids with Raspberry Pis.
Those Raspberry Pis, man.
Hey, man, you just eat pie. So I ain't mad at them. They just know I'm there, and now they got to deal with it, So the day the president of the university saw my presentation, and he DM'd me and said, "We need to talk. I want you to advise me on what you think we could do to help businesses in our academic program." And that was right at the awards ceremony. And then he went to the party, and he never got back to me again. Well, the next day he was given $500,000 by Cardano. You see what I'm saying? So his answers were given to him, and I would think that if he had said to anybody, like several of them, one of the sponsors of the event was a legislator from Wyoming, and he said, "I think you're going to win this thing," and then he went into the judge's room, and I didn't win this thing. And I don't care if I win. I just go to show what we can do, right? But it was politics. It was some drama, and good, smart people saw fire. They had been hearing for years the promise of what blockchain could do. And we went in there with Dr. Wright's fire, and they said, "Ooh, fire." And they said, "Did you guys see this guy's fire?" And then the money people said, "You play with that fire, you're going to get burnt, and you ain't going to get my money." I know that's what happened. Because $1 million flowed the next couple of days to the university and to the state of Wyoming. And that's good, because I had a meeting with the co-chair of the technology committee afterwards, and I told him all this, and I said, they can't stop me though. I'm one guy with a far superior technology, and you watch what I'm going to do in this state. They can't even stop what we're doing, because it's working now. They're dreaming about the future.
You've just given me a business idea. I was thinking, maybe now someone needs to develop a crowdfunding platform to influence judges of hackathons and
You know,
policymakers.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's how it works. I'm telling you, it's how.
bribefunder.com.
And I hate to make this about that because believe me, but it was crazy. In
Well, I like to
presenting
know
our
what goes on behind the
ideas,
scenes.
in presenting our ideas, the judges said, "Why are you using Bitcoin?" And I'm like, "Excuse me." And they said, "Well, have you considered Cardano?" And this is going into the competition.
That sounds
We're
very neutral,
starting
doesn't
at
it?
that moment, and they're telling me you need to rethink what you're doing.
Yeah.
We're the judges, and this was insane. What was going down? And I said, you know what? I just feel that Bitcoin and the SHA-256 distributed ledger algorithm is far superior, and it has to be worked on. It has to be fleshed out and developed, and I can't go to a proof of stake. And I made all kinds of enemies in that one sentence, but
Yeah,
it
I
was
can
my
imagine.
truth.
Uh huh.
So then he said,
It's probably
when
as if an Ethereum developer showed up at a CoinGeek conference and wanted to present.
I'm telling you, but I've already got ragged on by BSVers. So you think this
Hmm.
bothered me when I went in there? I knew I was going into the belly of the beast. I didn't expect it here. I expected it there,
You
right?
did set a tough challenge for yourself, I have to admit.
I I love it though because we were victorious. We almost launched the first legal Bitcoin token inside of a hackathon, and I was
Hmm.
stopped because of I couldn't get a bank to quickly accept my private placement memorandum because it had cryptocurrency in it, and the word cryptocurrency in a bank is a red flag because the FDIC has threatened to take their insurance from them.
Even in Wyoming.
Yeah, but lucky for me, I went to my network of legislators and influential people that I'd connected with on LinkedIn prior to that, and I explained my dilemma. They all pointed me to one bank president. He answered my call. He spoke with me, and at the end of the day, I made some adjustments in my private placement memorandum that allow me to operate crypto. But in the tokenization space, I have to really be careful with what I'm doing with financing these companies. And now I have a bank account. So I'm in business and I'll launch a
Cool.
token, probably a legal token under 2 weeks from now. Because
All right.
there's an exemption process that I can now file for and I'll get
Hmm.
it. So Wyoming allows me to do that. And even if nothing happens, I was the first to do that, the first to do this, the first to do this, now the first to launch a legal token. I'm just blazing a trail so that those who want to come behind me or join me or do what I'm doing have a path,
Yeah, yeah.
you know?
So where can people go and find out more about it?
Well, I think My Movies US and
Hmm.
Blockchain Studios, they're still from the first two hackathons, so it's mishmash, but we're building them. So soon, mymovies.us will be live.
Hmm.
My Music will be live. We've created our own streaming platform, Teatro. It's going to be live. Um, I have Blockchain Studios is a venture capital firm that finances these tech companies that I'm putting the money into the companies. And so what I have is Shane Enterprises, which is a real estate development that uses blockchain for accountability and data
Hmm.
sharing with investors. And I got Wild West Film Ventures, which is a tokenized securities for movies. And I'm just going in there with shotguns, 6 cylinders, all full, and I'm gonna just start blasting. So all these things will be rolled out on Twitter
Uh-huh.
to BSVers, but I think the press
That's a
releases and
lot of
the
stuff to be
marketing.
juggling there.
Say again?
That's a lot of stuff to be juggling all at once.
Well, Dr. Wright said Bitcoin is the future of everything. I just want a head start.
Fair
You
enough.
know, I am going to do a real estate flip. That's my business, one of my businesses. So Shane Enterprises, whether I finance it or the crowd helps me finance it, I'm going to execute one. I'm going to make Lord Timmy. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I'm going to do these things. How long is it going to take? It doesn't matter. I have an environment in which I can flourish. So my music has its first artist and we're getting artists. My movies went to the American film market, and I now got some filmmakers that are going to come and crowdfund on this platform. And yeah, Wyoming's a small place, but we do have a broker dealer and we can do regulation CF, so we can crowdfund a movie to 50,000 and then go regulation CF to 5-7 million to the United States over the counter. There's a method to the madness, but it's just about building it. So I think where they can go see it when I launch on Twitter, mymovies.us will be live. Shane Enterprises will be live. Teatro streaming will be live. My music will be live. And my music and my movies are going to be micropayment ecosystems for BSVers, but I'm a capitalist. And if you go back to 2017, if there's any interviews of me that made it through the Captain Bitcoin purging, I said, ignorantly, but I said, I was going to use this far superior technology to take everybody's coins. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm going to have businesses that operate on BSV, but they take legal tender in the form of cryptocurrencies that are legal, and they're out there and there's nothing to buy. And I will buy BSV with those currencies. I will take Ethereum from people and I will buy BSV. I will take BTC from people and I will buy BSV. I will take Cardano from people and I will buy BSV, because that's capitalism. I'm not loyal to any one money. I want all the money. And for me to think all the money is not on the table is a fool's game.
I got nothing to add to that, man. That was a brilliant speech. I may even fix the edit just so that it ends right there. Ted's mic drop.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think it's empowered me as a non-coder to go and try to attack these industries one-on-one. And that's amazing. And when I first heard Dr. Wright talk about this, I believed it. I did not believe that I needed to stay in this thing and convince 4,000 other people I had the goods. That was never my intention.
Yeah.
There was just 4,000 potential relationships I could have developed to help me get where I am today. And the people that I have, the people that stuck with me, and hand cash is there still. And I have Money Stream now behind me. And I have tokens from the Bitcoin computer with Clemens Lay, brilliant engineer. That I have a team of people that believe in a vision that is outside of the microcosm that is BSV. It's world domination. So it doesn't happen inside. And I think if I'm the first, I would never say I'm an enterprise level company, because I think what enterprise just means is big name, big deep pockets, right? Everybody uses the same stuff, but it's just scale. How much do you need it? I'm doing everything IBM would do, but I'm doing it at such a small level. It doesn't matter. It makes me irrelevant. But that is my power. My irrelevance is my power, because if I'm not a threat and I have the most threatening technology, that's the art of war. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I was talking about before. You know, if you're seen as a threat, sometimes it doesn't matter how well resourced you are or how well connected you are. You know, they're going to find a way to deal with you somehow.
They can't stop the kids from buying what they want.
Yeah.
And they can't stop filmmakers or musicians from following their dreams. So I'm going to win at some level. I know this. And I said it before.
There's no denying that.
Tracking. And I told the IBM, I was trolling IBM and Amazon at the American Film Market on their presentation. And they started talking about seed to plate. And I said it. I'll say it again. Seed to plate ain't sexy. Movies are sexy.
It certainly doesn't sound sexy.
No, you want to get kids watching movies, and that's how they're going to adopt. Don't no kid care how his tater tots got there.
Right part of the world for that too. I know that's Idaho.
You know what I mean?
All right. Yeah, well, I think if there's any industry that's, you know, like just begging for a disruption right now, it's probably the movie industry, because they're in a mess at the moment. Nobody's watching. Nobody's even streaming anymore. Like we need something new, and I think that it's not like the model that's to blame so much. It's just that the content they're offering. So I just want to see more of a range available. I want the movies I want to see instead of like the crap they keep shoving at us.
And I think what we can do right now, and the reality is that there's going to be no movies next year, and the year after that, it might even be worse. That the Screen Actors Guild has put such limitations on
Yeah.
how and where you can shoot. Only deep pockets can come in and shoot those actors.
Hmm.
But filmmakers like me, who can do a lot with a little, who can get non-union actors who can act, put them in believable stories and situations where it's real to the audience, these movies are going to be valuable because
Hmm.
there's going to be no movies. So, and when I say no movies, I could say maybe 100 movies, right? Real movies. And then maybe 100 independent movies. But you can now come in with your own movie, and if you can pull off the Blair Witch, you can do something in this economy right now, movie wise. And I believe that, and I believe it's a perfect storm for my movies. It's a perfect storm for independent filmmakers who can go to the crowd. Like you said, I want to see the movie I want to see made. Well, now
Mm.
you can see a poster. It can draw you in. You could read a log line. It can draw you in further. You could read a synopsis. Now you're hooked. And now for $100, $20, $200, you could be part of that. And not like Legion M, where they take your money and you see them teetotaling at Sundance. At my movies, you're in the production meetings, you're in the casting sessions, you're looking at the budget, the schedule, you're seeing receipts. If you're funding a low budget movie and they in the business plan are saying Chipotle and Panda Express, and they see receipts for steak and eggs, something's wrong as an investor. So we're providing
Yeah.
an accountability aspect to this so that investors can have a confidence that, hey, I'll give you 100 now, but I might give you 100 a week if you keep doing your job.
Out of
So who
curiosity,
knows?
if I join in the tokenized crowdfunding of a movie, could I get a producer credit from that?
You got to go deep. I'll give you my personal phone number if you give me enough money.
Oh, I
You
just
know what
mean,
I mean?
according to the rules of the industry, like what do you have to
Well,
do to get your
to
own
be a
IMDb
producer,
page?
it'll cost. To be an
Yeah, of
associate
course.
producer, you
Yeah,
usually do something for somebody,
of course.
bring some money or do something like that.
Hmm.
Somebody who brings a substantial amount of money is going to want executive producer credits. So I mean, everything's negotiable, and
Yeah.
especially with Bitcoin now, because now I can crowdfund. Like instead of offering T-shirts and sweatshirts to people who give because of they believe in the project, that never worked.
Mm.
They can now invest at certain levels that give them those perks and those access points. You give me 10,000 on a 100,000 movie, you can come to the set anytime you want. You can, as long as you're respectful and security don't gotta toss you, it's your movie.
Yeah.
It's really almost your movie. So there's different levels of access. My model will succeed with 5,000 kids at 20 right now. I'm trying to be smart about this. I'm not trying to, you know, make a Hollywood movie with the crowd because I don't have the elements. But what I do have is a great story. I got some great footage that shows them how we're going to do what we're going to do. I've got a great cast that wants to come to work at some budget level.
Hmm.
And we have to try it because if we don't, we'll never know. And so being in Wyoming allows us to fully explore what that means right now.
Hmm. Yeah, well, I reckon my favorite pull quote from all that is everything is negotiable. And I think starting 2021, a lot more things are going to be negotiable.
For reals. I
So,
mean, we will take every precaution for any
mhm.
requirements for COVID production, but we don't have the unions and the completion bond people on our back.
Yeah,
We
interesting
just
situation.
make a movie and be safe about it. And if we all do our job, we can compete with $3 to $5 million movies because those $3 to $5 million movies ain't the best either.
Just as long as we're still using humans and it's not just in like an all CG future. That's my nightmare.
I don't want that. Half of the fun is doing it together. You know what I
I
mean?
know. Yeah.
It's
Well,
like it's
like
I've been
everything.
called. It's been somebody said, so you're a carny, and I go, what do you mean? Like carnival people, and I was like, I guess that's what it's like. We live together, we eat together, we work together, we travel together, and I guess we're carnies for 3, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, depending on how much money you have.
Mm-hmm.
You put the 10 up, you do it, and you go. And there's something to be said about that life. You're doing what you love. You're doing what you love.
I got no problem with that lifestyle at all. Alrighty, Ted.
Um,
I think we'll wrap it here because no
let's
reason.
come
I
back
think
with
that's
the
just long
launch.
enough.
Put
Yeah,
this out, and
I
we'll
want to
come
find
back
out
and
where
we'll
it's all
launch
gone.
on
Yeah,
your show.
I want to hear more about it, like when you've got like something there that people can actually buy and look at and watch. So, how long do you reckon that's going to be?
Couple weeks.
Cool.
Like
All right,
like
then.
maybe you can even hold this, and then when you put it out, you can put it. They'll be able to go there. You know what I mean? Or do I would what I would like to see is if you put this out now,
Mm-hmm.
that we come back in a month and we just a 15-minute reveal of the player and da da da. If you
Yeah.
want, Dave said he'd like to come on with me. It wouldn't be the TED show, you know what I mean? It'd be Money Stream, maybe Hand Cash if they wanna, chime in on what we've all built together.
All are welcome. Alrighty, well, thanks a lot, Ted, and I
Yeah,
will hold you to that. Let's come back in another month or so and talk again.
yeah, definitely.
Cheers.
I look
See you
forward
later.
to it always, John. Thanks.